Thank you, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, esteemed members of this Honorable House, and the people of Tobago. I stand here proud of my team today. I don't know if in the lunchroom they feed all your hot pepper or something, and if this was a cricket match, left stump gone, right stump gone, center stump gone, you all have bowled a beautiful innings. I must say, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, that I stand here with the task of correcting weaponized incompetence, weaponized ignorance, and weaponized arrogance. Because that's what the minority has presented to us today. And if we were to listen to what they had to say, the two presentations that have gone thus far, the people of Tobago will have to understand how dangerous those things are: weaponized incompetence, weaponized ignorance, and weaponized arrogance. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, I rise in full support of this motion laid by the Secretary for Finance, Trade and the Economy, and it calls for central government to fulfill its duty to the people of Tobago and to ensure that we receive all our monies as statutorily due in accordance with the law. So despite the allocation being unfair, our request is fair. We want the money when it is due, how it is due. Despite the central government continuing to punish the people of Tobago for rejecting them at the polls, our demands on behalf of the people of Tobago are just. And despite us continuing to operate under a system that continues to depress, oppress, and disadvantage the aspirations of this administration and our people, we continue to fight for what is truly and rightfully ours in this union. The insufficient allocation of resources to Tobago is an attempt to hinder our ability to address critical developmental challenges. And as my colleagues have all indicated, this is not a side-by-side arrangement, that we are seeing development running apace in Trinidad, and Tobago has to beg to be considered. Tobago has to be begged to want what is best for our own people. Tobago has to be begged to be listened to and respected, and our dreams given flight. We have been asked to do a great many things with little. So before I get into laying out the division's key projects for this fiscal under the 44 in 44 initiative, let me just give a snapshot of some of our achievements, because I ain't like how people trying to low fence tourism. I don't know why the minority leader always complaining, oh, tourism on life support and nothing ain't happening. Who stakeholders he talking to? On a normal day, you can't get a flight to leave Tobago and come back on the same day. Every plane that I've been on between the islands is usually full. In fact, the numbers would show that so far for this year, international stayover is up by 7%. The people are coming. It shows that domestic air is also up by 7%, even though we have never gone back to the amount of flights that we had before COVID. And who is responsible for putting the tourism sector on life support? This same PNM administration that waited until January 2022 to open our international borders, when every other Caribbean destination was opened within 4 to 6 months of the COVID pandemic happening. Who is to blame? This same minority leader who in August of 2018 was appointed to the board of TTAL. And I want to read something into the Hansard, because I think this is very important for us to note. That under the administration that he supported, under a previous Secretary of Tourism, an Executive Council minute, number 155 of May 29, 2018, which is approximately 3 months before he became a director of TTAL. So clearly this is a directive that they should have actioned. And I quote, "The Tobago Tourism Agency Limited conducted a rationalization exercise on airlift into Tobago from the UK market, since there were 2 legacy carriers servicing the route. And that time it was British Airways and Virgin Atlantic. And the Tobago House of Assembly is saying that they are heavily subsidized by us and operating suboptimally. This is 2018, they are saying this in an executive council minute. And according to their analysis, this is TTAL, the ideal scenario would be to terminate one operator, allowing the other to build capacity, which would result in increased frequency of service, which would result in more options for passengers and less costly for the THA. What does that mean? They themselves said that one of the flights should be terminated, but they're cussing we up and down for letting go Virgin in January of 2022, a decision that they said had to be made. We saved the people of Tobago $19 million because this flight was only bringing 4 people. 4 people, and you sat on the board of TTAL, both of them, minority leader, minority councillor, signing off $90 million every year to bring 4 people every week. And you talk about performance? You ask about what we bring back from ITB and World Travel Market and these things. So very much unlike other secretaries who go with 1 suitcase and come back with 10, what this secretary has brought back in the last 3 years is a silver award, a bronze award, and 4th place in the world, most desirable islands, rest of the world, according to Wanderlust readers who are readers from all over the world, competing against destinations like Puerto Rico, Cuba, Palawan, Sri Lanka, people who spend millions of dollars to market their tourism product. But you know what I also brought back this year? A revised contract with British Airways that is saving the people of Tobago millions of dollars. The first time we were ever able to negotiate this contract downwards. Talk about cut and contrive, Madam Cut and Contrive. As I continue, key achievements. Over $5 million spent on critical tourism infrastructure upgrades to various sites, attractions, encompassing renovations, repairs, installations, and the execution of phase 1 of the Scarborough Beautification Project. The reopening of Manta Lodge under this administration, smallest hotel in the world as part of the famed Ascent Collection. Record number of visitors to the destination for cruise ship. We've talked about this before. The numbers that came to Trinidad and Tobago didn't come to Trinidad and Tobago. They came to Tobago. And you talk about 44 cruise calls this year, and I've gone to great lengths to explain. We don't invent cruises. We get our ships from Puerto Rico. They are doing massive upgrades to their port. That is why we have less cruises coming this year. But while I was sitting in the house, I got an email that we've added another call this year. And there is room for us to continue to add calls during the course of this year. And the funny thing about it, they always like to talk about, oh, the tourism secretary is a failure and all that shippiness. But we are getting double the amount of calls on Trinidad. Do you all say the Minister of Tourism is a failure? No, you don't. But you see, you all are experts in rank hypocrisy. Anyway, I continue. Upgrades to the Charlottesville Jetty, and I must commend the staff and the Secretary of the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and Urban Development for doing this project in-house. I gave a part of my DP allocation for this to be completed, and they did an excellent job in upgrading the Charlottesville Jetty. We distributed over $680,000 to youth and non-governmental organizations and cultural groups in support of sports and events tourism initiatives across the island. Over $8 million distributed to accommodation sector stakeholders via the Tourism Accommodation Relief Grant Program, TAG, and the Tourism Accommodation Upgrade Program, TOP, to undertake critical upgrades to their facilities. Through the Festivals Commission, we distributed approximately $7 million, not a dollar of this went to a Trinidad contractor, to various community, cultural, and carnival stakeholders in support of their efforts and participation in our major festivals, such as the Tobago Carnival, National Carnival, Tobago Heritage Festival, and the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy Competition. Tobago also, for the first time in the history of the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy Competition, hosted a Tobago Finals in Tobago under this administration, where several of our Tobago groups participated and brought home top 3 place finishes, and our Tobago representative was crowned Miss Lorraine Rivet 2024. We have also increased our local and regional partnerships to build capacity and strengthen the reach of Destination Tobago, and these partnerships include with IDB, Inter-American Development Bank, with our technical cooperation agreements and capacity building through our study tours. Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts to execute our tourism incentive awareness training. The Caribbean Tourism Organization, who has provided myriad support in areas such as tourism crisis communications, destination management, product development, etc. And our collaboration with the Airports Authority in the hosting of delegates from the Kappa Airline Conference that was held in August 2024. Through TITAL, we were a key sponsor of the first wedding summit held in Tobago by esteemed wedding planner Asha Mars Weddings. And because of this, Tobago has been invited to be part of a huge wedding expo, the Munaluchi Bridal Conference, that is taking place in the US Virgin Islands. I have been invited to speak about the destination and our potential to grow the destination wedding sector. And this has come from us focusing on marketing the destination to our various niche markets, including romance tourism. In the last fiscal year, the divisions and its companies successfully hosted and or sponsored several events. Blue Food Festival, Tobago Carnival, and I want us to clap Tobago Carnival. I want us to give a round of applause to Tobago Carnival. Tobago Carnival has been the single biggest, most successful event ever hosted by any Tobago House of Assembly, anywhere, anytime. Fight me on it. The stakeholders, the suppliers, the bands, the people, the hotels, everybody came together and Tobago was on show. And I'm sad to say that despite the fact that I try my best to, support the minority with the liquor party and give them a little advertisement, the only negative thing I heard about Carnival was this Nirvana thing. What was going on with that? Clearly Nirvana wasn't close to heaven at all, more like hell anyway. But despite that, the Tobago Carnival was hugely successful. Queen of the Road production by T-Pac, National Carnival celebrations, Pantrinbago Medium Band finals, Force Festival, Turn of the Tide remake, Creative Calabash, Tobago Heritage Festival 2024, which saw the return of the villages of Golden Lane, Roxborough, and Mount St. George to widespread acclaim, our hosting of the Tobago finals of the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition, and the hosting of our Junior Youth Congress. And I would also like to single out the sitting Junior Secretary of Tourism, Ms. Anthurium Lewis, who is in the public gallery this afternoon. And let me just say that I continue to be immensely proud of her representation. And at the regional competition, she was able to cup second place. And she really did a fantastic job representing Destination Tobago. Ms. Lewis, I thank you. Tobago was also represented at a number of international trade shows because the reality is that we can't sit down and wait for the PNM to market the destination. We have to go out there looking for the business. So aside from World Travel Market, we were able to showcase Destination Tobago at the Global Tourism Resilience Conference, ITB 2023, the Trade Mission to Ghana that took place alongside the Ministry of Trade, Sea Trade Cruise Conference, the CTO's Sustainable Tourism Conference, Tobago Day in New York, and the State of the Tourism Industry Conference in the Cayman Islands. And participation at all of these events have served to raise Tobago's profile regionally and internationally. And as a result, they are inviting us to show up everywhere they have something. They just love having Tobago in the house. And it means that Tobago is doing its part, doing what it can do, doing what it must do to continue to remain at the front of mind in the competition, because tourism is a competitive market. It is hard for us to come back from where we were if when the race started, we were now parking the car outside the stadium. That's where Tobago was. But I can safely say that we are in the race. We are in the race at this time. We are competing amongst the best. And that is evidenced by the accolades that we have been receiving. And it says to you that regardless of how much they try to squeeze us, how much they try to keep us down, that we have a special thing in this Tobago here, and we fly that flag high wherever we go. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, as you may know, This list only represents a mere 25% of the work that the division and our companies have been able to produce this year. And we continue to demonstrate prudent financial management of financial resources, intentionality in our focus on standards, regulations, infrastructure development, and marketing, and commitment to the sustainable growth of our tourism, cultural, and creative sectors. Now, tourism is the second largest sector that makes up the private sector on the island. And the CSO recorded total visitor expenditure of approximately $45 million from our international stayover arrivals. And additionally, it is being said that Tobago collected approximately $8 million in hotel room taxes from legally registered properties. However, this number does not paint a true picture of the size of revenues. Certainly does not take into account the significant amount of revenues being earned from the domestic market, nor revenues collected from properties that do not remit hotel room taxes like villas and Airbnbs. However, despite its vast potential, the growth of the tourism sector has been constrained by our limited resources. Let me give you a case in point. In fiscal 2017-2018, right before the formation of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, the THA spent $41,121,296 on airlift alone, and that was for 5 carriers. Guess what is the allocation for TTAL this fiscal? To pay for airlift, recurrent expenditure, marketing, all these things. $42 million. So if you went from 1 year spending 41 or almost $42 million on airlift alone, so if all those planes flying, naturally they bring in people, they're not bringing air, right? But then the very next year, you give me the same 42 million and say, hey, hold that for airlift, recurrent, marketing, pay rent, pay donkey, buy gas, come on, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Deputy Presiding Officer, this allocation is a disrespect and a disservice to the sector, especially when Tobago contributes significantly to this nation's identity as a premier tourist destination. It's because of we winning the awards and not Trinidad. Lonely Planet only look over here because it's Tobago they was really looking for, but they had to tackle on Trinidad just to not make them look bad. But that is okay. We understand what we bring to the table. To truly unlock the potential of our tourism industry, the THA must have fiscal space to invest in significant upgrades to physical infrastructure, comprehensive marketing campaigns, destination development, product diversification, and airlift, most importantly. And to think, 3 years we got these awards, we got this recognition, and they're trying to downplay it. But what all I was getting before is only when we come into government, people start to recognize what's going on in this space, I think we ought to take a little clap for that. We ought to get a little clap for that. Because it means that we have been putting in the work, and we continue to put in the work. And while the tourism authorities on that side like to talk about Tobago, he wanted to say Buku, but he said Baku. May I know where that is? The THA is the one that bears the burden of ensuring that this jewel remains polished, that we keep looking good. In the words of my chief secretary, we are the smaller, sweeter island, man. So we will continue to polish this jewel. 44 in 44 is critical. We are saying to the people of Tobago, they didn't give us what we asked for. But you see what we're going and get? We're going and do our best with that. And that is why we have the 44 and 44. So under the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation, we have an allocation of $153 million under recurrent, $16.7 million under DP. And our flagship projects under the 44 and 44 would be the restoration of the Fort King George Lighthouse, and I'm pleased to say that it's on schedule to be delivered to the people of Tobago in December of 2024. A Christmas gift to the people of Tobago, putting on that iconic light. For those of you who grew up in Scarborough like myself, you know what that light meant. You know the feelings that it invoked in seeing that light spread across the waters of Tobago. And I'm saying that light will be turned on because the light has been turned on in Tobago. We went through 21 years of darkness. We're going into light now. The light will be put on and it will light the way to prosperity. We will be commencing the second phase of the Scarborough Beautification Project, and the focus would be on the waterfront, Calypso Rose Boulevard. We would also be building out the tourism infrastructure at Swallows Beach and No Man's Land. They represent a hub in the southwest of the island, and it gives an opportunity for our small entrepreneurs in the tourism sector to legally make a living. Thank you so much. To legally make a living. And Swallows Beach, again, no man's land. We know what that means to the tourism product, and we really want to ensure that they look good and the people there can be allowed to flourish and that we can welcome more visitors to that space. We intend to deliver phase 2 of the Home of the Blue Food in Bloody Bay. And I know everybody enjoys trekking up to Bloody Bay for the Blue Food Festival every year, so it is our hope that by next year we'll be able to deliver the actual built huts, landscaping, utilities, the car park infrastructure, so that you will have a more comfortable time enjoying that activity in the northeast of the island. And finally, but not lastly, we want to deliver phase 1 of the Storby redevelopment project, and this project is very close to my heart. In 2022, I had the opportunity to speak to the users of the Storby Beach facility, and they lamented that for years, Storby, that used to be one of, or the premier beach facility on the island, was left to run down into a deplorable state. And I made a promise to those people that we, under this administration, in our first term, we would seek to redevelop the Storby Beach facility. And after countless hours of conversations and consultations, I can finally say that they have accepted the revised designs that we have submitted, and we want to commence delivery of phase 1, and we're hoping that we can do this project in-house. And I want the people of Tobago to understand that this is our project. So it's not about getting a Trinidad contractor to come and do the work. No, 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 no. We have the people here. We have the talent here. We have the resources here. We have the will here. Let us adopt this project as our own. Let us work hard to make it be a testament to the fact that Tobago people like nice things. And we could build nice things. And we could be having nice things. We don't have to let somebody come here and build nice things for us. We can build nice things for ourselves. So this Storby redevelopment project is not just for the people of Storby, Crown Point, and environs. It's for the people of Tobago. Because if this project works, it means that every beach facility that we have under our division can look like something out of a world-class magazine. And it's not just for the visitors to enjoy, but it's for the people who live here to be able to stand up proudly and say, we did that. We built that. This belongs to us. We will take care of it. And these projects, the whole point behind the 44 in 44 is for the people of Tobago to hold us accountable. We must be able to tell you that, yes, these things are the things we can safely deliver. So we're not going to come here and say, oh, we have 100 projects on paper, and we can't deliver. We want to be able to say that for every year that the Tobago House of Assembly has been in existence, we have one project for every year that will be delivered in this fiscal year. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, I would also like to add that that is not the only things that the division plans to deliver. We actually have 56 projects in the pipeline, and some of these include provision of amenities at several of our beaches and waterfalls. I wish the member for Roxborough Argyle was here so that I could update him that the amenities, one of the spaces that have been identified for the addition of amenities is the Argyle Waterfall. We want to recommission the Bloody Bay Beach facility, develop the trail at the Highlands Waterfall. We intend to launch the division scholarship program, which is going to focus on tourism, cultural, and the creative sectors. We intend to have a partnership with Tobago to extend the reach of the national instrument in our communities through our steel pan organizations. And we intend to roll out our community sustainable tourism-based program for the next 12 months.
Member, as per standing order 16.2, the House will now be suspended for 30 minutes and will resume at 5 p.m.